The Founding Fathers knew that any government that's able to create as much money as they feel fit will eventually create so much money that it becomes worthless. So they put in there that only gold and silver could be legal tender. Now, at the time, around the War of Independence, we had a continental dollar, which they made so many of them they became worthless, and so that gave rise to the phrase of not worth a continental. That's where that phrase came from, because of the inflation. So they didn't want it to happen again, so they put that in the Constitution. Now, so that leaves us from that point until we get up to the creation of the Federal Reserve, 1913. So for about 157 years, we had virtually no inflation in this country. You know, the value of things didn't change. There's really no reason for inflation. If you're on a gold standard and all of your dollars are backed by gold, there's no reason for inflation. Inflation is a hidden tax that steals your wealth. And it's hidden, and I'm going to show you part of the way it's been hidden from the people of our country. Back when, let's see here. Back when, let me take the camera here and see if I can get this here. This is what a $20 bill used to look like. It says gold certificate, and as you can see, this is real money, redeemable in gold coin at any bank or at the Treasury. And it says, certifies that the person who has this can redeem it for gold. Now, these are the $20 bills we use nowadays with the Federal Reserve stamp on them, and they say Federal Reserve note. Well, they're guaranteed by the full faith of the government, and with the amount of money they're creating, you know, it's quite likely that these will have no value at all in the future. Now, as we're moving along here, we get to 1933. We had the Federal Reserve in 1913. 1933, you know, we're in the Great Depression. Roosevelt decides that he wants to call in all the gold, and it was about $20.67 an ounce, and he raised the value to $35 an ounce. This gave the Treasury the ability to multiply the money supply by 75%, and, you know, ramping up the inflating the money supply. That's basically what inflation is. You know, I grew up thinking that inflation was cost of living went up, and you know, prices went up, things got more expensive. Well, those are results of inflation. Inflation is increasing the money supply, and as a result, you have so many more dollars chasing the limited supply of goods. The goods haven't changed, but yet you have all these more dollars chasing the same amount of goods. And so people are willing to pay more, and so the prices rise as an effect of that. I wanted to show you, I have two quarters here. One quarter is from 1964 and one is from 1967. The quarter from 1964, both of these quarters would buy you a gallon of gas around 1964, about 25 cents a gallon. Now, this quarter here is still 25 cents. This quarter here is worth about $3.12. That's because it's 90% silver. This is real money, and this is the monopoly money, the fake money that we currently use. So this quarter hasn't changed since 1964. Still buy you a gallon of gas. But this quarter buys you 25 cents worth a gallon of gas, which is over $3. So what they've been doing is taking real valuable precious metals away from us and ending up with the coins that we use now. The same thing happened with the gold certificates becoming Federal Reserve notes. So we have this 1964 quarter maintaining its value. Now, something else that we need to look at, which is very important, is this here is a graph of the money supply. You probably can't see it too well, but it starts 1910 and it goes to 2010. Well, we're almost there. It goes in 2009. You can see what happens. Right here, the Federal Reserve is created, and then right here is when we went off the gold standard. That's what Roosevelt did to so that he could pass his New Deal and he could stimulate the economy. And that's really when modern day inflation took off. This is the inflation, and then you come up to a year ago and you see it just skyrockets. There's no limit to the amount of inflation that the government is willing to do. Ben Bernanke, the Federal Reserve Chairman, has he's been given the nickname Helicopter Ben because he gave a speech where he talked about money coming out of helicopters. He studied he's a student of the Great Depression, and the Great Depression was a deflationary event, not an inflationary event. Prices came down, money shrank up, and he doesn't want that to happen again. So, you know, he referred to dropping money from helicopters. The inflation is just going to keep going. I mean, you have examples in history of Weimar Republic in Germany in the 1920s. I mean, they printed so much money, the mark was useless. There were wheelbarrows of coins to go get a loaf of bread. They printed up 400 quadrillion marks. You know, so they were virtually totally useless. You know, they're marks. Zimbabwe did the same thing recently. That's the most recent example. Zimbabwe just inflated their currency to the point where they don't, you know, it has no value. There are countries with high levels of inflation, like Peru, early 80s, they had 7,800% inflation. But Zimbabwe's inflation was measured in the quadrillions % on an annual basis. I mean, that's just astronomical. So, what do? This is not going to go away. We don't use real money. The government can print as much money as they want. The thing to do is just stay out of the dollar. Now, I'm not going to say this happened tomorrow. This could take a few years. Could take 5-10 years. You know, hopefully we don't reach hyperinflation like what happened in Germany, like what I was talking about, the Weimar Republic that gave rise to Hitler. Hopefully we don't have to deal with that. But gold and silver is going to maintain its value. It's real money. I mean, when money was, you know, we started out on a bartering system where you traded stuff, and then they wanted to have a medium of exchange. Well, it was bananas. It was cattle. There was a lot of different things. The bananas rotted. The cattle died. So gold doesn't rot, and there's a limited supply of it, and that's why it's a precious metal. Gold and silver. They're real money. So you want to have real money going into the future, or other currencies. The people that survived Weimar Republic, the citizens, were the ones that converted their marks to other currencies before the hyperinflation really took off. So look at having some money in other currencies, you know, in other countries. Invest in ADRs, American Depository Receipts, which are foreign companies that have put some of their company on our U.S. exchange. You can buy into those companies. Those are a few different ways you can look at it. I mean, do your research. Peter Schiff, he has a lot of information. There's some different precious metals analysts on YouTube you can look at. Mike Maloney, Dave Morgan. It's all out there. You just need to look. You just need to do your research, and you need to prepare for the future so that you're not wiped out with what's coming ahead. See y'all later.